I love graphic novels. Unlike something like the Marvel or serialized comics of the past, graphic novels attempt to tell kind of a complete story just with a visual medium added to it. I love the world of independent animation as well, going onto YouTube and finding everything from scrap projects to unaired cartoons to pilots, passion projects. It's pretty awesome. From the creepy to the heartwarming to the funny, there's just a treasure trove of ideas that have yet to be expanded, sitting out there in the aether waiting for you to discover it, and I love it all. But back in the day, I used to also love webcomics, but the format has changed a lot since the mid-2000s. Webcomics used to be the stupid thing that people would do in their spare time. They'd write a little story about a time-traveling macho man attempting to reform most macho men from around media into upstanding citizens, and it'd just be the funniest thing you've ever seen. I mean, people used to actually read Control-Alt-Delete back in the day. Like, it was popular enough to have its own convention. Penny Arcade? Yeah, that spawned PAX. People read that stuff, and people loved it. But times have changed. It's a little harder to just kind of put up a website on the internet and have people find it organically. So the webcomic kind of died with the early internet. But out of its ashes, almost like a phoenix, Webtoons came along. I didn't really jump on it immediately, and I attribute that to a couple of different things. At first, I just honestly thought it was a platform for ecchi Tumblr teens to read trashy rom-coms, which, by the way, it definitely is. But eventually, I just gave it a chance, and it has so many problems. But the content's actually decent for the most part, but we'll get into some of that a little later. I'm just here to talk about how the platform and its content releases and all the challenges that come with it being a mobile platform designed for quick reads, and how that ruins the medium of webcomics and graphic novels. And for Webtoons to survive, I think they need to change something. So without further ado, let's get into this. In no particular order, of course. The Webtoon release schedule is a problem. And this is going to make me sound kind of like a prick and like I don't value creators' time. So let me get in front of this. I value the artists and the writers who put in their time, often unpaid or paid pennies, to make these Webtoons. Their work is extremely valuable, and I really do appreciate it. That being said, the weekly Webtoon release format has really messed up one of the fundamental aspects of storytelling for these comics. The main one being the pacing. Because of how Webtoons are monetized, it incentivizes that a series go on for as long as possible, but not too long that you lose your audience. This means that the pacing for most Webtoons is insanely wonky. Imagine having the most amount of filler or side stories that you can put into a story. You know that Webtoons are maximizing the amount of filler they can put in. It's pretty bold, to be honest. The best Webtoons are the ones that cut that filler, or at least minimize it, in my experience. But even those can devolve into what I call the one realization per episode cadence, where nothing happens for the majority of the chapter, where it covers information that's already been revealed to the reader like 3 episodes ago. It ends up being that you can skip 90% of the chapter and just scroll down to the bottom to see what happened. Other times nothing relevant happens in the episode, and you're like, okay, cool. I spent like 10 minutes reading this episode, and nothing's happened. And nothing's happened in like 3 weeks because you've been sitting in a pet shop or something for the past 3 weeks. The weekly release schedule also seems to make the art of the Webtoon suffer a little. In anime, there's this thing called sakuga, where artists get to go ham and make something that looks really extremely beautiful, or smooth, or really cool looking. Sadly, in shows like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or One Piece, you might only get one sakuga like once per season, and that's because those shows have really increased episode counts and not a big budget to match. So why does anime matter for Webtoons? Anime's not Webtoons. Well, of course, but it falls down to the similarities here. The weekly release schedule makes it so the art is often rushed, but you can put in low effort and still get something that looks pretty decent, but isn't going all out as you find it's like in something like a graphic novel. And this kind of goes with independent art. I will say that when you have independent artists doing things, they often don't have the backing of editors and background artists and everything else. So you're going to have a little limited art, but that doesn't mean that the art couldn't be better. Because I know it can be better, because some of these artists don't rush their art. But that means that they aren't putting out as many pages, and that just adds to the pacing problem from earlier. But some of my favorite webcomics are often just people talking, and a lot of the times it's just no backgrounds. It'll be like a plain blank background that's supposed to be like the color of the wall they're standing next to. It's kind of looks lazy, and yeah, their art's pretty good, but they're reusing a lot of assets. Editing, Isaac here. I will mention really quickly that Webtoons don't always update once a week, especially if you're a Canvas. Some update like once a month maybe, and some update quicker, like something like 1HP Club updates twice a week. And it doesn't have as many pages in an update as some other ones would have, but it does keep the plot moving at least a little faster, because you feel like it's moving, because you see it in your update feed a lot more. Feels like it doesn't feel as bad to get an episode where something random and stupid happens. Now for a quick tangent in the conspiracy corner. Now, I will say that this is just speculation, and I might be totally off base. I really probably haven't done as much research into this specific aspect as I may have wanted to, but I just can't help thinking about it. So, Webtoons mainly get paid off of ads, but you don't get ads on canvases. So when Webtoons originals end, there's no guarantee that the same author is picked back up for a second Webtoon original. So why wouldn't you want to extend your original out for as long as possible so you can continue to make that ad revenue? But at the same time, like, I know Webtoons can be canceled, so I'm not 100% familiar with the back end of the system, and I might be completely off base with this. I don't know. I'm just trying to cover my bases here. Alright, this one's pretty short, so I'm not gonna linger on it too long, but the Canvas system is kind of dumb. First of all, I kind of like looking for diamonds in the rough. But when you do so with Canvas, it's often kind of frustrating. First of all, little tangent, Webtoon's search function just sucks. Unless you have the exact wording of the name, it's not going to even attempt to try and find what you're looking for. Secondly, searching for canvases are just, it's impossible to find something that you're looking for. Most Canvas Webtoons are kind of just people looking for their big break. But they're waiting for their first Webtoon to kind of be picked up by Webtoons to become a Webtoon original, but sadly, it doesn't really work most of the time. Canvases move slowly in the plot department, mainly because I think a lot of artists haven't fully fleshed out what they want their plot to be yet, so they're just kind of winging it as they go, and that creates a lot of filler. And most of this filler gets cut when you go to originals, but while it's still a Canvas, it's a problem. And second of all, it's mainly they just don't put out as much content as originals. A lot of these projects are passion projects, and that's fine, but sometimes you only put out like 2 pages a week. And sure, something like Cast Off, which puts out 2 pages a week, has a huge backlog of content. But once you're caught up, the episodes really trickle out slowly. It's really hard to keep me engaged as a reader when nothing happens for multiple weeks. Or it's a simple conversation that's not really great, or you're retracing part of a conversation from the last episode because, oh, your readers waited a week? It feels like it would be better off to update monthly and have a few pages to go off of than 2 weekly. Secondly, and this gripe doesn't really apply to me, but I have some friends where it does. Webtoons doesn't allow you to download canvases, which is an issue. Sometimes you just don't have internet, and Webtoons has a feature that allows you to auto-download new episodes for when you have internet, which is great for some people who maybe want to read it on the train or something, and they don't know if they're going to get a good connection on the train. But it's not consistent, and it definitely makes canvases harder to follow because you can't download them. And without a following, these things don't get made into originals, so Webtoons is actively setting themselves up to not find new things that might make them money. Also, there's basically no reason that you shouldn't be able to download canvases. Webtoons is kind of just being weird about this. This is one of those things where I don't understand it from a business decision. Why you aren't allowed to download canvases. There is no reason. It's not like they're losing money on them. They're running ads on canvases, and canvases don't make money off the ads. So I have no clue why they're not allowing you to download canvases. It's like if YouTube didn't allow you to download content from anybody under 1 million subscribers with YouTube Premium. It doesn't make sense. Alright, none of the meat and potatoes. If this is a 4-course meal, we're really getting into it. Fuck the Fast Pass and Daily Pass that Webtoons has. Not only does the app just chug and eat battery on my phone, which means it's probably doing shit in the background, like trying to steal my location data. Yeah, that's pretty cool, isn't it? It has ads, just up the ass. There's so many ads on this app, and there should be no reason why the Fast Pass should even be a thing on your app. On top of it, using Fast Pass is like a colonoscopy, except there's even more ass. If you use the Fast Pass to read a chapter early, it doesn't continually unlock episodes for that webtoon in the future. It just unlocks the next one early for you. So when you unlock this episode's worth of content, and you read it, and then next week, you just lose the episode, because you've already read it. This is a tactic to get people to constantly spend money to keep up with their episodes, because the goblin brain needs to know what happens. It's shitty. Like, you already have the ads that are so fat and so sensitive that sometimes me scrolling on your pages just has me hitting them, because they don't load fast enough. Then it has to take me over to my web browser, and then over to Apple Music to just not do anything. Nothing turns me off of an app more than shitty ads, and Webtoons is just full of them. Okay, so what if I want to read a finished series? Then I don't have to worry about Webtoons throwing me under the bus with bad release schedules, bad pacing, and bad fast passes, right? Nope. You're wrong. Webtoons will still attempt to screw you over with the Daily Pass. What's the Daily Pass? Well, it's a little thing that only lets you read one episode of a webtoon every 24 hours. Sometimes it's more than one episode, but not always. The issue with this is that it doesn't notify you when you can read the next episode, so you constantly forget that you are reading it, as it will push it below everything else that just got updated for you in your subscription box. On top of that, it doesn't allow you to auto-download the next episode using their download function. It'll only allow you to download the newest episode. What really gets my goat, though, is sometimes they limit your episode consumption using the Daily Pass feature while a webtoon is still airing. There might be 100 episodes of a webtoon that you really want to binge, but you can't, because Daily Pass is preventing you from reading them. So you need to take 100 days to continue reading it. Meanwhile, the series is still updating, meaning 14 episodes will release within those 100 days. It's pretty bullshit. Imagine if Netflix said that you couldn't watch any episode of Stranger Things from seasons 1 through 3 except for once a day, and then you'd have to go and watch the next one the next day. What if you just really want to binge Stranger Things? And Netflix says no. That's what Webtoons is doing here, and it's bullshit. The thing it really does, too, is it just makes me not want to read established series that have the Daily Pass, because I don't want to have to worry about it getting buried. Sometimes I really like a series, but it's got a Daily Pass, and then I'll get 7 episodes into it, Webtoons will bury it under my rest of my subscriptions, and then I'll come back to it and I'll be like, oh yeah, I remember this, I kind of really like this, I'm gonna finish binging this. Nope, you can't. It's not gonna allow you, because you have to do their stupid Daily Pass. So then I just don't end up reading it. It could have been the best webtoon in the world, and I just wouldn't know.
Reach the operator, what's the reason for your call? Can you tell me what's the point in building AMT?
When it comes to any media, the medium in which you tell a story is extremely important. When you don't understand the medium, you tend to make mistakes. That's why live-action anime adaptations fail. They don't understand the medium in which the original was created, which is imperative for most animes. If you could have been done in any medium, they often would be. But unlike things like Netflix's Cowboy Bebop, webtoons don't have an adaptation problem. They have a format problem. Let me explain. Most graphic novels are just that. Novels. Their pages are normally a little bigger than the average book, but this doesn't really make that much of an impact. They read just like books, left to right, top to bottom. The difference is that webtoons read a little differently. Instead of using paneled layouts for a page, webtoons rely off of the smartphone, especially the smartphone's doom scrolling function. That seemed better in my head, I don't know. Now, this isn't an inherent problem. Webtoons are on your phone and not on paper, so they need to utilize this style. But the issue comes in when webtoons A, refuse to change their ways, still relying off the paneled style of traditional graphic novels, and B, don't utilize the scrolling format to its fullest potential. Alright, I think I'm gonna have a little bit of a problem explaining these in a little more detail, and I'm not really an expert on any of this. Anybody who's seen my art knows that I suck pretty badly at drawing, so I'll try my best here. Look at this comic. This is a page from The Boys, or Lock and Key, or The Adventure Zone, or I don't know. I'll find one of my graphic novels and I'll throw it up on the screen here. Look at how the panels are arranged. There's very little white space. They only have so much room, so the best graphic novels have to scrunch and make good use of their space. Webtoons don't really have this problem. You can just scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. The digital format allows for that. So then tell me why Webtoons are still attempting to follow the freaking paper media as a digital one. Now, not all comics do this, but a majority don't make use of the medium they're taking place in. Now, some people may think of this as me saying that they need to copy the paper comic form a little harder. Wrong. When Webtoons just copy paper comic forms, you get ugly, hard-to-read pages, such as with the Canvas Castaway. What I'm saying is that Webtoons needs to utilize their medium better. This is an example from Everything is Fine. You get this really cool scrolling effect that's reminiscent of a title crawl in a movie. This would not be doable in a paper medium. This can only be doable in a digital format on the phone. Do more of this. It's not that hard. And there's other ways to do this kind of stuff. If you want to utilize your format, you just need to have it so when you're scrolling and saying like a fight scene, the fight can kind of swerve and dodge and weave down the page. I'm not an artist, and I understand that it might be kind of hard to do this, but I think it looks really cool, and it definitely elevates your comic to a higher level when you have it. Alright, we're almost to the end of our whiny journey here, but I do have some miscellaneous gripes that need to be aired out. First is that the comments in Webtoons are kind of insane and they need to calm the fuck down. I really wouldn't care about them, but pretty often the creators are reading the comments and entire series are ruined by bad shipping. Shipping culture is dumb, and these comments are dumb. If they have no chemistry, and the relationship isn't believable, then it's pretty obvious the comments are just shipping everyone and everything, and it's bad. Creators, please stop listening. The people in your comments aren't gonna, kill you because you didn't ship. Although shipping culture is pretty intense, so I don't know, maybe they will. But please, in actuality, please stop. 2, music. Alright, so Webtoons often include music in their comics, but I normally listen to music while I read. Just my own music. So it ends up just turning my music off, but most Webtoons don't start their music until a certain scene. So I just either sit in silence or have to go turn my other music back on. And some people are going to be sitting there like, just turn the sound off. There's a little button in the top right corner. Just hit the sound off button and you don't have to deal with it. Well, I do. I actually do. But Webtoons still turns my music off because my iPhone thinks that it's going to play music. Very rarely does music actually accentuate a scene in a Webtoon. I can think of 2 of them, and one of them takes place in a freaking opera hall. So authors, please stop. It's more annoying than it is charming. And finally, this is something my friends just have problems with, and I really don't, so I assume it's just an Android thing. When you're scrolling, and you're not scrolling perfectly down, sometimes you just get, booted from the app, apparently. Android is a pretty large share of the market, so this is pretty shitty. Probably stop. And now we're approaching the ending of this video. If you're still here, I really do thank you. If you would like to, there is a subscribe button down below so you can see more of this content. Alright, now that the lame call to action at the end of the video is over, we can wrap things up. Overall, I don't mind a lot of the stories being told in Webtoons, but holy cow, are most of these issues just really awful and they really bog down the experience. Fix these things and you'll have a really nice platform to have independent artists and creators be able to show their stories and share them with the world. Or you can not fix them and your medium will continue to wallow in mediocrity. Anyway, it's 2 a.m. and I'm done writing this script. Y'all have a good one. More videos soon, including maybe a little companion piece to this one. I'll see you then.